Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Amanda and this week's video is going to be my monthly wrap up, or pretty close to my monthly wrap up. I figured that this would be a better video than trying to do the books that I was reading on Face Mask Fridays, just because those videos didn't seem to be doing very well. Nobody seemed very interested in those ones. So I figured I would do one video towards the end of the month that went over all the books that I read. And so also apologies for this week's video being late. Things kind of got away from me. So I, in my little handy dandy reading planner, have these spots in here that have a monthly TBR list, and as you can see on the bottom, has a little guide. So like the white squares that you didn't start at, half the square means you have started it, and then the filled in square means that you finished it. So, and then you just go through and you write what you want for your TBR list for the month. And so this was January's TBR list, and then I also started my February monthly TBR list. As you can see, I have that all filled out. I also have March's mostly filled in. I know that most people just generally tend to pick whatever books that they want to read next, which is usually what I used to do too. But I figured since that came in my Owl Crate in November, that I would take a stab at it and see how well it worked out, because I feel like one of the biggest reasons why I get stuck or in a reading slump is that I tend to pick all of my favorite books to read first, or the ones that I'm really excited about to read first, and then I kind of go through all the stuff that I'm not as crazy about. So I figured if I kind of, if I had like stretched everything out over the course of months, then maybe it would kind of help me out a little bit on what I wanted to read. And then too, I think I've mentioned this before, that I had like a really massive TBR, so this way too, I wasn't like super overwhelmed when I was trying to decide what I wanted to read next. So we shall get started on my TBR for this month. Or not my TBR, my books that I read. So this one is the one that I'm currently reading, called The Whispers by Heidi Perks. Not quite halfway through it. This one is one that I got in my book basket, or one of the ones that I got in my book basket back in December. And I zipped through one of them before my January TBR started, and I just hadn't really gotten around to reading these. And so I kind of decided to start my February TBR a little bit early instead of trying to finish. I DNF'd a book, which we'll see in a second, and instead of trying to figure out something else from my January one, I figured I would get a head start on my February TBR, so this was the second one for my list. So it says, in her explosive new novel, Heidi Perks, the internationally best-selling author of Her One Mistake, explores toxic relationships, dark secrets, and a twisted web of lies. Anna loves girls' night out with her friends and fellow moms. With all of their young kids at home, safely tucked into bed, it's a chance for the women to let loose, enjoy some wine, and just laugh and trade stories about their lives. But the morning after one lively evening, Anna doesn't arrive for school drop-off. She doesn't show up the following morning either, or the morning after that, and no one, not her husband, not even her very best childhood friend Grace, can find her. That's when the whispers start. Something must have happened to her, but what and why? Everyone in Anna's circle is frantic with worry, but none more so than Grace. She knows Anna better than anyone and is convinced that someone is hiding the truth about her unexplained disappearance. As rumors fly and accusations are made, Grace is determined to take matters into her own hands and find out what really happened to Anna or die trying. So, this one's only like a 300-page one, so I have a feeling it'll be finished by the end of this week. So, this one is pretty good so far. It's a thriller. And like I said, only partway through, but it's pretty good so far. So I think I'll go through the ones that I was not as crazy about this month that I read, and the one that I DNF'd, and then I'll go through all the ones that I did like this month. And so I feel like it'd be easier to get the ones that I'm not as crazy over out of the way first and then go through the rest of them. So the first two that I wasn't as crazy over, I did Practical Magic and She Is Me Too. So Practical Magic, this is the book that the 1995 movie is based off of. It wasn't horrible. Like, it wasn't horrible, but it's not something I think I'd reread again, so this is just kind of one that's going to end up going in the pile for the free little libraries. But if you are a fan of 90s stuff, you might like it. But it was interesting, and I definitely wanted to see what happened at the end. But like I said, I think it's one that I probably won't reread again. I've been trying to be better about that and not just keeping books for the sake of keeping books. So, but again, it's not horrible. It just wasn't one of my favorites this month. So, this one, She Is Me Too, says a psychological thriller. T.M. Shivner. This one I was actually kind of disappointed by. This one was in it was in one of my Facebook groups, and it was promoted by the author all over Facebook, and so I got really excited because I've never really bought anything off of an indie author before. And then I was a little disappointed. Again, this is one that's not super awful, but it's told as like it's supposed to be a thriller, and it kind of is. It feels like it's more of a smut book with like thriller kind of thrown in there. I don't mind smut books, but I kind of wish that it had like been a little bit more honest about all those parts. And like I said, it feels like it was just a smut book with a little bit of thriller kind of thrown in. So I feel like if you like smut and you're really into that, then it would be not bad. But I'm sure I would try more of her books again just to see if I liked them. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed by this one. So a lot of the Goodreads reviews were kind of disappointing too, because I guess a lot of people ended up going back and saying they didn't particularly care for this book in the Facebook group that I was in, and the comments, I guess, kept getting deleted, so that's kind of disappointing. But so the book that I ended up DNFing, which means did not finish, was Little Women. My copy was like 700 pages, so I literally got to page like 400 and something, and I just literally could not read the last like couple hundred pages. I was like struggling to read the last little bit. So it's not a bad story, but it's just very wordy, and so yeah, it's just very wordy and very long. And so I know it's one that was written in like the 1800s, so yeah, I'm sure I'll probably try to read it again. But yeah, I feel like I just didn't retain a lot of the information in there, that it was just way too much. So again, the next thing we're gonna do is the stack of books that I did like this month. I read quite a few books this month. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm on my 8th book so far, so that was my goal, was to get through as much of my TBR bookshelf as possible, and so we are working on accomplishing that. So the first two is Daughter of the Pirate King and Daughter of the Siren Queen. These ones were really quick books, but I feel like they were really good. I like it when a book doesn't, I like when the whole, it kind of bothers me when, I'll talk about this one during one of my other books, but I don't like it when a book has a huge lead up and then it gets to the climax and it drops off at the end. I like it to continue right through to the end, and I feel like that was what happened with these two. They are pirate themed if you're into that, so it goes through a woman named Alosa, who is the daughter of a pirate king and a siren queen, hence the names of the books. And so they're doing what pirates do and looking for treasure, these certain maps that you're supposed to put together to find the Siren Queen's treasure. It just kind of goes through in both books what happens to those. Alosa figures out who her mother is finally, because that was not something that she knew before. And there is a love interest in here, so it's not super romantic, but if you are into something that has a tiny bit of romance, there is a little bit, so I thought that was kind of cool too. So, but yes, if you're into pirate books, those are for you. The next one was another huge favorite of mine. There's This Poison Heart. There's a sequel to this one. I really liked this one because it has Greek mythology in it, and I've also been trying to make sure that I read more Black authors, not just white folks. So but this was really, really good. It deals with flowers and this girl's magic power, Brysis. She has the ability to make plants grow and stuff, and so she ends up inheriting this house, or she thinks she inherits this house, and it goes through the whole her getting there and how she supposedly inherited it and all of those things. So, and like I said, with a touch of Greek mythology in it. So again, this one was really good also. Cannot wait for the sequel. I have it sitting in my Amazon cart right now, so super excited for that one. The next one is Jennette McCurdy's memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died. I really wanted to read this one when it came out and just never got around to buying it. And then my mother-in-law gave me her copy and I literally read it in a day. So if you are into memoirs and you liked Jennette McCurdy, you like this one. It is really sad though, and I will say that it deals with some pretty heavy topics like abuse and eating disorders and stuff like that. So if you are sensitive to that sort of stuff, it might be kind of hard for you to read. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot to say about this book because it's a memoir, and so it's about the person's life and stuff. So I feel like memoirs are kind of a hard one to just be like, oh, the story is about this and that and whatever. So, but yeah, I finished this one in a day, so it was really good. And then last but not least, I also read Dolly Parton and James Patterson's book, Run, Rose, Run. So I'm normally not a James Patterson fan. I really just have not been able to get into any of his books at all. So I was excited for this because I like Dolly Parton, but I was also kind of hesitant because, again, I'm not a huge James Patterson fan. but I did find a copy on Mercari, and so I ordered it last year, and it's been sitting on my TBR, and I finally read it. It wasn't bad. It was pretty good. I really liked it, but this was one of those ones where it's like you spent most of the book getting up to the climax, and then it kind of just dropped off at the end. It was like a quick little, like, oh, they live happily ever after, and so that part was pretty disappointing. Like, I wanted, at least a little bit of length at the end about, what happened and all those things, and unfortunately, just, like I said, spent most of the book building up to the climax, and then it just kind of dropped off at the end. So, but this follows a woman who is trying to make it big in Nashville, and she's got like this big secret, and it ends up being some an abusive ex who's or whatever that's trying to find her and stuff. So this one was pretty decent. I do have one that he wrote with Bill Clinton that I found at the library's bookstore that I'm kind of interested to read too. So we shall see how that one goes. But hopefully, so I think I'll start doing the monthly wrap-ups instead of doing what book I'm reading for the Face Mask Fridays videos, and then I'll see if I can find something else to do for those ones. Like I said, I started doing them because I had a whole bunch of face masks from my Ipsy subscriptions, and it seemed like a fun way to kind of use them up, but not really sure what I'm gonna do with that now because, like I said, they weren't really doing well. But as always, I thank you for watching my videos, and I hope you enjoyed my monthly wrap-up.